We're talking Ball State. Don Shondell and Ray McCallum talking Ball State. Nate Davis and Bonzi Wells. Schumann, Bell Tower, and Worthen. Fans all over from Muncie to Berlin. Getting Concannons, Carters, and Greeks. All right, everyone out there in Cardinal land, welcome to another live edition of Ball State of the Union, your number one Ball State football podcast. By the fans, for the fans. We're talking current headlines, exclusive interviews with Cardinal athletes and coaches, and fun off-the-wall debates that you're not going to hear anywhere else. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to us on all of your favorite social media platforms. And as always, when you hear that song, when you hear that beautiful voice, those beautiful lyrics, you know one thing's about to be happening, and we are about to be talking Ball State. I am John, your host as always, joined tonight by the one, the only Colin from Ball State Football Talk, and a man who needs no introduction in the Ball State world, but I'll give him one anyways. Hall of Famer, NFL veteran, number 3, Mr. Willie Snead. Boys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. How are we feeling?
Doing pretty good, John. How you doing, man?
Well, Colts kind of came back down to earth a little bit today, so I did not love that. But hey, we're not here to talk about the Colts today. Colin, I know it's a big show for you. We've heard for months and months and years about Colin versus Kent State. We got someone here tonight who's ready to take you to task if need be. So, are you ready for your comeuppance potentially?
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited for this week. I'll be at the game. Every week is a big week for me, John. Just so you know, every pod's a big pod for me.
True.
But I'm excited to see what Kent State agenda pusher has for us and what agenda he's pushing today. I always see him on the TL, so excited to have him. I mean, there's no like Kent State pod really, so he is kind of the guy unofficially for Kent State, it seems like. So glad to have him on.
Okay, and we are going to get to Mr. Agenda Pusher here in just 1 second. But again, a couple things before we start. Number one, if you can hear me right now and you want to get involved in the conversation tonight, be sure to put your questions or comments in the live chats wherever you're watching the show, whether that be on Twitter, whether that be on Facebook or YouTube, and we'll read them all at the end of the show. And as always, Ball State of the Union is partnering with the Shop Indy. That is www.theshopindy.com, and use that code BSUnion at checkout, and you'll get free shipping on your order. And they got all things all Central Indiana. They got the Colts, they got the Pacers, Ball State, obviously, Indiana, Purdue, Indiana Fever, whatever you want. If it's Central Indiana and it's sports, they probably have it. And use that code BSUnion at checkout, and you will get free shipping on your order. And as always, also, Ball State of the Union is a proud member of the College Huddle. And the College Huddle is a group or a network, if you will, of independently made college football podcasts throughout the country. So if you got a favorite team, well, I guess not Kent State technically, Mr. Agenda Pusher, he might need to be the person who starts the Kent State podcast because there's not currently a member of College Huddle. But Ball State of the Union is. And if you're a fan of college sports and college football specifically, be sure to check out the College Huddle. You will not be disappointed. So, boys, without further ado, let's bring on our friend here from the Kent State Twitterverse, the one, the only, the very well-dressed, the Kent State Agenda Pusher. Mr. Agenda Pusher, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me, John. It's a pleasure and an honor to be invited on to here because, you know, I've been following you guys. You guys do good coverage for your school, and honestly, I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, so we're really happy to have you on here. Like we said, in that intro about the College Huddle, there is actually not currently a podcast that we could find for Kent State, but that did not stop us, and that's where we found Mr. Agenda Pusher here. He comes decked out. He's ready to rock. He's got his is that like a Indiana Jones hat or a cowboy hat? What kind of hat would you say that
this
is?
This was something that was given out to I did the alumni band for homecoming.
Okay.
And the band got them during band camp, but our president, shout out Todd Dyken, gave the alumni band some of these cowboy hats too. So that's where I got this from. The chains from a giveaway last year. Same with the Hawaiian shirt. The Dustin Crum jersey. It's kind of hard to see, but it is number 7. It is a Dustin Crum jersey. Bought it online. So just stuff I've gathered over the years.
There we go. And it creates a great ensemble you have here. So
Thank you.
before we dive into the game for this weekend, we always like to ask our guests, because again, a lot of times they either have podcasts or they have a Twitter personality or something like that. How did you kind of start your Twitter account, and when did you maybe see you starting to gain some traction in the Kent State world?
Well, it started back in March. That like this year, back in March is when I made this account. And it was mostly just because I had graduated with my associate's degree back in spring of 2024. I came into Kent during the COVID year, so there was like all that confusion, all that. I spent 4 years, 2 years trying to figure out what I wanted out of college, got my associate's degree, and right now I'm in a point in life where I'm just trying to like get myself established. So I'm taking a break from college, and this account was kind of a way for me to stay connected with Kent State. It was never supposed to get this big, I'll be completely honest. It started off as just another like burner account on Twitter. And next thing I knew, I became someone who was involved with athletics. I regularly engage with the team. I've talked with a lot of people in the athletic department, wonderful people. I've gotten to meet some people. Shout out to Jimmy, who runs the Kent State Sidelines account. He's been helpful in my growth. Like he was there since like I want to say April. He noticed me, and he kind of helped with that growth, helped me like become a member of like the Kent State like social media like group, because Kent State social media is primarily on Instagram through Barstool and on Twitter through Sidelines. So being able to be a part of that is just so much fun.
Yeah, and we found a similar thing. There was obviously Sidelines Ball State. Excuse me. Shout out Rob. He was the main guy, and then there wasn't a lot of extra activity going on. So there are opportunities out there for people to get involved with these smaller schools in the MAC and stuff like that, and you can kind of build a presence pretty quickly, like you're saying back in March, and this show similar time frame. So all-time series between Ball State and Kent State for everyone out there listening. Ball State has held this series pretty much in check throughout their entirety. Ball State leads the all-time series 24-8. They're 7-10 in the last 10 meetings, and surprisingly, last year was a lot closer to the game than I think a lot of people expected. Ball State was able to pull out the win last year, 37-35. But again, it was a lot closer than I think many expected, especially Colin here. I remember him definitely thinking that this was going to be a big one for us. So, Mr. Agenda Pitcher, let's get the big picture here for the Ball State fans out there who aren't well versed in the Kent State world. Give me the kind of overall vibe and the team, what's going on with Kent State football right now, and then we'll kind of look more into the game on Wednesday.
It's a team on the rise is the best way I'd put it. We legitimately started this season rock bottom. Like you could not get any lower as a program, coming off a winless season. Your coach gets fired right before spring camp, right before the spring portal opens. So you have a second exodus of players. I believe it was 2 weeks before the season, our defensive coordinator left for, I want to say it was North Dakota State. It was one of the Dakota schools. He left to take a defensive coordinator position there. So we are running a completely interim staff, basically building together what few guys were remained and who we could get through the portal last minute. So when this season started, we were step one, just field a team. We went out against Merrimack. There was a lot of growing pains because this was a completely new team. We were trying to establish an identity. Shout out to Realus Clark for housing that kickoff to, I think that was the spark that kind of lit the team up, because after that moment, we go through our brutal non-conference that we're famous for, getting battered around by a bunch of ranked Power 4 opponents. But in between that was the game against Buffalo, which I believe Buffalo was favored by, I want to say 22 points going into that game. And we held the lead up until 70 seconds left in the game, where our defense finally, after battling for 3.5 quarters, Buffalo finally got our number. And it was one of those things, I don't think anyone expected us to compete that quickly. And then, we get through our non-conference, we have homecoming against UMass, and we absolutely throttle them. Like people were like, oh, it's going to be a slug, like slug match. Like it's going to be basically battle of the two worst teams in college football, and it wasn't even close.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was 21-6 at half, and then we finished 42-6 by the end of regulation, and then we go into Toledo. If you look at just the first quarter of our Toledo game, you'd think we were the best team in the MAC, and then obviously the other 3 quarters were played, and that skill gap from a completely fresh raw roster versus probably the most I don't want to say veteran, because using the term veteran in college sports is kind of not as accurate as it would be for like pro sports, but like it's definitely one of the deeper, more experienced groups in like the group of 5, and that difference definitely showed by the end. And then we bounce back against Bowling Green, come back, we beat Bowling Green, rivalry win, it's always great. And here we are, fresh off of a 21-3 comeback victory, looking for our first consecutive winning, like back-to-back wins since I want to say 2021.
Mm.
So that's where we're at right now.
Penn State agenda pusher, I want to ask about the last 2 years. Obviously, I may have had a lot to say, regarding that, but I want to ask as a fan, how hard was it to get through those 2 years, and what was really holding the team back recently?
For me, I have the unique perspective of from 2020 through 2024, I was a member of the marching band. So I was there for every home game. I had a very vested interest. When 2021, when we went to Detroit, I was there when we flew across the country. The band went out. So I've seen the highest of highs, and I have seen the lowest of lows. And in 2023, I'd say no one really was surprised by the result. Like it was a team that Sean Lewis had just left. Basically every playmaker from that 2022 squad, they all went to the Power 4, like all of them. It was a really good squad that just in today's day and age just got gutted. So Kenny Burns comes in, he has a monumental task as it is. And 2023 was, as they like to put it, year 0. We put together a season where we weren't really competitive in a lot of games, but there were moments where there were flashes of, something to build off of. That's why, he got the 1-year extension after the season. And we went into 2024 with the optimism that now that we have a foundation, we can build off of that. And, I'm not going to get too into the details, if you want to, all the stuff's online, all the stuff that happened, it's been rehashed over and over again, but just a lot of internal stuff just kind of, it bled out onto the football field. And I'd say about halfway through last season, the team was just broken. And, we went into this year, with the off season we had, the off season from hell. And it was just one of those things. As a fan, it was hard to watch just because it's one of those things. Like I said, I was there in 2021 when we, had that. In 2020, we had the number 1 scoring offense in points per game. Like going from the flash fast era to a team that could barely score a touchdown was very hard to watch. But I went into this season with the sense of, we got nothing to lose. Let's just see what happens.
Yeah. And it seems like you said, they're a team on the rise. They've definitely exceeded a lot of people's expectations, especially from the outside looking in. As far as this game on Wednesday, Ball State, Kent State this Wednesday, let's kind of start diving into that a little bit here. I know offensive playmaker here, Mr. Willie Sneed, wants to know a little bit more about the Kent State offense.
Yeah, Mr. Agenda Pusher, I appreciate you being on tonight. I've had some formidable matches with Kent State, so I've always had like nothing but the most respect for Kent State, unlike my co-host here, Colin. But you guys are kind of going through like a resurgence, it feels like, with the new head coach, the interim head coach, and it seems like things are going in the right direction. Honestly, we have the same record as you guys. We're both 2-2 in the conference, 3-2 overall. What do you think? Do you believe that all of Kent's success, speaking mostly on last week's win because that was a surprise win, beating Bowling Green, coming back the way you guys did. Do you credit that all to the new interim head coach and just the new vibes, the new resurgence that you guys believe in, or is there a layer that we're not seeing? Is it offensively? Have they got better? Is it defensively? They're playing better. What, from your perspective as a fan, has been really the cause of you guys really coming back and making a strong effort to finish off the year the right way?
I'd say we are a team that is getting better every week. Like a lot of our guys are they're new. Like
Yeah.
Drew DeShields, this is his first year like being a starting quarterback since high school. He's coming off a bunch of ACL tears that kind of derailed his early collegiate career and all that. So he's just going to keep getting better every game, as he gets more experience. We got a bunch of young, hungry playmakers on offense. Our lines are just going to get bigger and stronger year after year, but I'd say we live and die by the hot hand. Like when things are clicking, there's no stopping us. The moment, things get out of sync, though, that's when we start to see problems. And that's what happened against Toledo. We started off hot and then we made a couple mistakes and it just kind of snowballed from there. It's a matter of experience. And I'd say I can confidently say it's the entire team. It's the coaching staff. It's the players, everyone there just wants to get better.
Yeah.
And as the years go on, I feel like you're just going to see the entire unit grow and develop into hopefully once again one of the best units in the MAC.
Absolutely. And you guys are known to have offensive playmakers over the years who kind of just like hidden gems, if you want to call it. This year, I'm not really, on beat with who is the playmaker or who is the guy that you guys really look to make plays, because obviously, last week you guys come back from Bowling Green. You guys had to have, some playmakers to make plays that game. Who should we look for, offensively to come out and really make a name for themselves, because this is a big game for both our teams. And you guys are coming on the road, so it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge now that Ball State is 3-0 in the MAC this year, undefeated, trying to keep it that way. But who should we look for offensively to be that spark, that kind of that go-to guy in the moment when stuff is going to get tight, end of game situations? Who are you looking for to make these plays as we go down the stretch here come game time?
Well, obviously, a lot of our players are going to run through Drew because, as I like to call him, Drew to dimes. He's going to be the one getting the ball to the playmakers.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the guys who are going to be catching the ball, obviously, Cade Wolford, he's our explosive guy who basically if he's getting the ball, you have a 60% chance that that's a touchdown. All of our big touchdowns have been through him. And then there's, the realest man on campus, the realest Clark, he's housed 2 kickoff touchdowns. He's caught a touchdown and this past week, our game-winning touchdown, he was the one that threw it on a jet sweep pass.
Nice.
So it's one of those things where everyone can make plays, but the 2 big ones are obviously Cade and the realist, because they're just the ones that have been getting the ball and getting into the end zone the most.
Yeah, that's a big note, because special teams is something we talk about a lot. And the fact that, you said that he's taken two house calls, right? I'm guessing punt return or kick return. Which one?
Kickoff return. He's tied, I believe, I believe he's first in the nation in kickoff return touchdowns, and he's second in average yards for kickoff returns. I believe that's the stat they threw up on not this past week because we were on a bye, but during the week of Bowling Green, I believe that's the stat they threw up. I was at the game, so I remember I saw something in the highlights, but it's just one of those things where, he's just, teams have started avoiding kicking to him because it's just, if he gets the ball,
right,
there's a chance, and that's all he needs.
Yeah, that's a big stat. We'll have to keep an eye on that one. And one last question for me. This is kind of a personal one. The years I played Kent State, you guys had a guy named Dree Archer. And I think he was probably one of the most explosive guys I've ever seen, even in that draft class. That was a deep draft class in 2014, but he was the guy that clocked 4.2, 4.23, 4.26 or some crazy number like that. Who is your favorite all-time Kent State player, and tell us why?
Well, for me, Dree was well before my time. Like I said, I got to Kent in fall of 2020, so I'm very familiar with the Flash Fast era. I have a Dustin Crum jersey, like he 2021 MAC Player of the Year. Outdueled Jordan Love in 2019 for our first bowl game win. Like in terms of accomplishments, he's probably our most accomplished player in like program history in terms of what he's done for our program. But I definitely say my top three would have to be Dustin Crum, Marquez Cooper, because you guys probably know about Cooper a little bit because he did transfer to you guys, but
Mr. 1000.
Oh yeah,
Marquez is nice.
Yeah, that read option was so much fun to watch in 2021, and honestly, Drew DeShields, like he's the first guy since we had Crum and Schlee that's just kind of taken over campus. Like everyone knows like he's not like a celebrity or anything from what I've heard, but like when he puts the helmet on, the pads, he's the guy everyone's looking to for like something, and every week he's delivering something. Like he's always just throwing that one ball that you just look and you're just like, yeah, we're in good hands.
I like that.
All right, Colin, defensive questions and any other questions you might have for Mr. Kent State agenda pusher.
We'll start with who are the best players on the defense? Who are some people we should know? And what's kind of the identity of this defense?
Our defense, I'll start with the identity question, is very bend but try not to break. We lead the nation in fourth down stops. Like when you get us to fourth down, that's do or die. I will say our biggest weakness, and this is from a fan perspective, I would say is our run defense. Like, Bowling Green, the reason we were able to come back is because they went away from the run. Like they were getting 5 yards per carry, and like they tried to throw the ball a couple of times, and that's what allowed us to get back into that game. It's just one of those things where a lot of our guys, they're just young, and the younger guys just tend to be a little bit more undersized, and that's just something that we just tend to get kind of just overpowered on the run. And with Toledo, they had Vanderus, so like speed can sometimes be an issue on the outside, but I definitely say like when push comes to shove, they can make a stop. And when it comes to big names, I'd say the biggest names, obviously CJ Young. Like he is one of our big playmakers. I know Mason Woods is another one. They're all a bunch of young, talented guys. It's just getting that unit to gel together in year one is always going to be the hardest because, these are a bunch of guys who, most of them haven't played in a game together, like at the start of the year. So you kind of got to get that, like that sense of trust, your guy's going to be covering that section of the field so you can focus on, this section and all that. Like, it's just one of those things. It's going to slowly get better. And I'm hoping that this second half of the season is where we kind of see kind of like how with that second half of the Bowling Green game where things just start to click more.
Okay. And then if you were Ball State, how would you attack the defense other than the run game? This can be like maybe special teams or starting fast, something like that. What would you say are some keys to beating Kent State?
To play devil's advocate, because I never want to see Kent State get beaten, but definitely like you said, the run game. One of the things we definitely like, if you can get your quarterback on the move, that's the best thing. Like with Bowling Green, like we came out hot in the second half and we were blitzing and we were getting to the quarterback, and that's what led to a lot of our success was just getting into the backfield. If you're able to avoid, that pressure, you should have a good command because like once you get out of that pocket, you can, hope to find a guy open downfield. Special teams, punting has definitely been our weakest thing. Like, we've had several blocked punts throughout the year. The biggest one being that Toledo, like they it was a punt 6, but it was off of a blocked kick. And other than that, it's mostly just when it comes to offense, like stopping us offensively. our run game is very hot and cold. Like we will run 3 straight run plays where it's 1-2 yards, and then we'll rip off just a random 12-yard run. Like it's one of those things where if you can be consistent in the run game, don't let us get a little cutesy with it. I'd say is probably the best way to probably stop us, but ultimately it's going to be one of those things where I feel like this game's going to come down to who wants it more, who's going to want it in from each play, who's going to want the win more. Because I've been kind of checking up things. These, Ball State and Kent State are they're two sides of one coin, it feels like this season. Struggled against their FCS opponent, got slaughtered in the non-conference. Obviously you guys played UConn very tightly, but you could draw the similarities with us against Buffalo. Like it's one of those things where it's either you'll win in convincing fashion or you kind of get run over, and I feel like that's kind of both these teams, so it's really just going to come down to who wants it more.
Okay.
Agreed.
Perfect. All right. Well, Mr. Agenda Pusher, we have a couple last things here, and then we'll get you out of here. So, number one, as you might have heard, I know you keep tabs on Colin here because you're the Kent State Agenda Pusher, and he's against the Kent State agenda. So he has a big bet coming up this week that I think before the season he felt pretty good about, but as the spread for this game will indicate, it's a lot closer now than I think he feels comfortable with. So, Colin's bet, if you're not aware, everyone out there, if Kent State is to win this game, which if the Agenda Pusher has anything to say about it, they will. Colin has to go to an establishment in South Bend, Indiana, wherever he lives, whether it be a restaurant or whatever it is. And he has to go on a date with let's just say, an inflatable friend. So, Colin, would you like to let me know how you came up with this bet and how do you feel about it right now?
Yeah, let me speak on all that. First, I want to say, Kent State Agenda Pusher, I respect the agenda. If that's anything, I respect it.
Thank you.
Now, for the bet, this happened it might have been during the Ohio game or something around there that I agreed to the bet. I was feeling really good about the team. I thought Kent State, it was going to be the same old Kent State of the last 2 years. I thought they were going to be worse than this year, honestly. After they lose their coach, then the players leave and there's an interim head coach, but they've proven to be better than I thought they were. I'm still honoring the bet because that's the type of guy I am. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a tough game. I think we're going to win, but it's, we can't lose to Kent State. I still got to say it. We just can't.
There he is. There he is. All right, Mr. Agenda Pusher, last thing before we let you get out of here. We appreciate your time. It's been great talking to you. How's this game go Wednesday? What happens, 10 o'clock at night, 10:30 on Wednesday night? How is this game ended?
I don't know how, but it's going to – I just have this feeling that it's going to come down to the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. Like one team's going to start off hot, then the other team's going to respond. I don't know in what order, but it's just I have that feeling like we're coming off of, convincing win. You guys coming off of that heartbreak against NIU. That was a game that I'm sure many of you guys probably thought you had in the bag, and then just it got away from you. So it's just going to be one of those things where both teams have reasons to want to come in hot and establish something, and it's just going to come down to the wire. At least I hope so, just for the simple fact that that's the best kind of football to watch, the one that comes down to the wire, because if you win those games, those are the best feelings. Mm-hmm. You come out with a win, and I definitely hope that no matter what, it's a good game.
Okay. All right. Well, we appreciate your time, Mr. Agenda Pusher. Go push Kent State's agenda and keep up the good work. Good luck the rest of the season, except for Wednesday. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Have a good one, man.
You too.
All right, everyone. That was the Kent State Agenda Pusher. Colin, how'd that go? That was the first time meeting Kent State face-to-face, to my knowledge, for you. How do you think it went?
This might be like A Star Is Born. I mean, that fit right there was clean. He was dripped out in like all the latest Kent State exclusive gear. If they had Supreme Kent State, he would have had it. That man, I gained a lot of respect for Kent State and its agenda, today. And I still think we can't lose to Kent State. There is a MAC hierarchy that we have to maintain, and that is us above them. But I thought he was a great guest. I thought he was pretty knowledgeable. It was a great interview.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Mr. Agenda Pusher, like we were talking at the very beginning of the show, Kent State does not have a college huddle podcast, but you might need to be the guy who wants to start that. So, all right, boys, a couple new pieces of news here. Not really anything too big, but we'll get to those real quick before we kind of get into some other fun stuff we have here tonight. So, the first thing we have, obviously, the episode number 9 from the very tough Northern Illinois game went live. Colin, did you have a chance to watch this yet? And if so, what'd you think?
I did watch it. It's the shortest episode yet. And this also gives me a chance to say shout out to Jack Beebe. I did hit him up about potentially being a sponsor to Ball State of the Union. And I think he legitimately considered it. He asked for some time to think about it or whatnot. But eventually, I think he's just too popping right now. Like, to get the rugs out to us, he'd have to, it might take a while. So shout out to Jack Beebe and Foot Stompers. Maybe one day he'll reconsider. The NIU game is just tough because, guys, how much can we really pull from that? I mean, they ran all over us. The whole game was them with the ball running it on us. So he did what he did. Shortest episode, yeah, I still liked it, but maybe it might be one of my, least favorite episodes yet. Still great. I'm still glad they do it because we didn't get a post-game press conference. We didn't get a Kent State pregame press conference. This is the only thing the team has put out. And that guy, like the reporter that went to the sidelines and tried to ask Coach Yu the information, that went how it went. But we haven't really gotten any information about the team. So this is the most we've gotten. So I'm thankful to Jude for at least doing this.
Now, Willie, I don't believe you made an appearance in this one like you did for the Akron episode. Did you have a chance to watch this one? And if so, what were your thoughts?
I did. It hurt to watch, because I knew the end results, right? But yeah, I could just, like Colin said, it was the shortest episode. I like how they, gave guys kind of like the recognition, like BB. That was really cool with the rugs, and then they brought in some different guys. But I think I would have loved to see the process like after the game. The game is what the game was, but I would have loved to see like how guys were responding like later in the week. Like with their mentality going into the next game, stuff like that. But yeah, it was just tough to watch because just you hate losing that game, man. That's a big game for us Ball Staters. So definitely wasn't looking forward to it like I was the weeks before. But yeah, they always do a great job though. They always get good content. They've been doing a great job all season, and even with the losses, like they still continue to put out good stuff. So I can appreciate that for sure.
Jude, if you're watching right now, I know you watch sometimes and you show up in the chats. I need to get on the show this week. I'm going to be at the game on Wednesday. Colin's going to be at the game. I need to be featured. I don't know if I need to be on it more than Willie Sneed, but I need to be on it some. I need to be featured big. All right, that's what I want to see coming out of this episode. So, because I wanted to be the first person on the show, but Willie beat me to it. Unfortunately,
they definitely should get like some mic'd up stuff from the fans, like even if it's y'all too, just like with those short clips where they get the fans like feedback and stuff. That'd be dope to add to that.
Go. All right, before we get on to the next piece, it's kind of an old thing, but again, if anyone out there is listening right now, feel free. Put in your questions, put in your comments, anything you want to get off your chest or ask about, put it in the comments wherever you're watching the show, and we'll read it all at the end. So the other thing, I don't know necessarily it's news, but it's just something that that came out, but it's the start time for this game. So I feel like a lot of these MACtion games kick off at 8:00. This one's actually going to start at 7. And it's going to be on ESPNU. So it's not going to be on ESPN Plus like a lot of the Ball State games are. It's going to actually be on ESPNU. So the main reason why I brought this up, and I don't know if this falls for either of you guys, but obviously the big news this last weekend was the YouTube TV and the Disney/ESPN falling out. So a lot of people have not been able to watch ESPN if they had YouTube TV this last weekend. Do either of you have YouTube TV? And I guess, Willie, if you do, how are you planning on watching this game?
First of all, I was so confused when it happened because I'm a college football guy. So when I wake up Saturday morning, like I'm turning on ESPN college football, and I didn't see the app, and I'm like restart my TV. I'm thinking like I didn't pay something, like what I'm saying, and then come to realize it's on Disney, and I'm like okay, but like I got Disney Plus. So I'm gonna watch it through the app, the Disney Plus app. But I think it sucks, man, because how many people really have Disney Plus if they don't have kids? You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? Like I only have Disney Plus because like my children, I got four of them, and it just so happens that I can watch ESPN on there too. But I think it sucks, man. It's gonna give like that's a great point you bring up. It's on ESPN, ESPNU, and if you don't have like regular cable or something, it'd probably be hard to tune into the game, I would think. So
Mhm.
it kind of sucks, man. Really.
So you can't see this on ESPN Plus? If you
I
have,
don't
I
we
think
have ESPN Plus, but you can't see it on. We can't
I
watch it on
think
there.
it's on ESPNU. So I believe usually if the game's on ESPN Plus, you just go
right,
onto the ESPN Plus part of it and you get on. But this week it's on ESPNU, so it's more, traditional cable, if you will.
right.
So people who have YouTube TV, all the ESPN stations are blacked out. So if it was
Hmm.
on ESPN Plus this week, it'd be no problem because people would just watch it normal. But
Right.
with it being on more of the traditional channel, like they might be out of luck. So if anyone out there, has YouTube TV, let us know what your plan is to watch if you're not going to the game. I know Colin and I will be there, so that's not really an issue for us. But yeah, I just thought that's kind of was an interesting thing with Ball State, because if it wasn't this week, it really wouldn't matter because we don't really play on the main ESPN family of networks very often. It's usually that ESPN Plus, which is a separate thing from this whole issue. So yeah, if for
Right.
some reason you're out there, let us know how you're planning on doing it. But yeah, also 7 p.m. game, so it's a little bit different. Yeah, here's a good one from our friend Shay. Let's start a Mac network. The Mac
Yeah.
network. There we
Seriously.
go. There we go. I like it, Shay. All right, that's about all I had. There wasn't a lot of news. They were pretty quiet the last 7-8 days. Basically, after that Northern Illinois game, is pretty quiet over there in the Ball State Twitter sphere, and so there wasn't a lot going on. But we alluded to this when we were talking to Mr. Kent State agenda pusher. And Colin, I'm going to give you the floor here.
Sure.
This is about Colin's bet. And again, if you weren't listening earlier, Colin made this bet a long time back when Kent State was a much different team, I would say. Now they've gotten a little bit better. Maybe Ball State hasn't gotten as much better as we thought, maybe. So Colin is going to be potentially, if Kent State is to win this game, which we'll get to our predictions at the end, Colin has to go to a restaurant in South Bend with a blow-up doll and take it on a date, basically. Colin, now that Kent State agenda pusher is not here, how do you really feel about this bet?
I feel fine. I'm not too worried about it. I think this Ball State team is going to protect the shoe. I believe in Kyle Kelly at home for sure, and I think we'll win. It might be kind of a close game, but I'm fairly confident that we're going to win. And even if we don't, I will respect the bet, and I'll be out. I'll be out and having dinner with a doll.
If
How long
if
does the day have to be?
well, that was gonna be my next
Like,
question.
I'm ordering food. I'm definitely gonna order food. I'm gonna order a drink. I'm
okay.
gonna sit there and chill for a second. I'm not just gonna sit down, take the have like the waiter take the photo and dip. Like, I'm gonna definitely order some food and take my time. I'm gonna respect the bet for sure. And how this bet came about, because people might be wondering, how did I get like this isn't something that I would just pick. We asked people to throw out different things to do, and this is the one that kind of seemed like it had the most traction. So early on we thought, there's no way it's gonna happen, is what I thought. So I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll do that. That's fine. And here we
You
are.
have to have been intoxicated, bro. Like, I don't think you're just soberly agreeing to that
He
one. Like,
did. He
The
just that's
okay.
how
other
confident he is.
that is how confident I am, but the other options were also much worse, Willie. That's what you got to understand. It was like walking from Kent to South Bend or whatever, like walking home or something. It was
Walking.
just a bunch of just terrible stuff. So this is the one that seemed the most feasible, honestly.
All right. So if this does take place, when can people expect this bet to be paid, and how will you document it?
So I'll definitely post things online. Uh, if we lose, I'll purchase the blow up doll. Um, you know, within 2 days of us losing, or like within the day of us losing. Uh, And then once I get the blow up doll, I'll blow it up, I'll put it in the car, and then I'll drive out
Bu-
to the date. So give
Buckle her
me,
up.
let's, yeah, buckle her up, safety first.
Oh
I
man,
might even get her a drink too. We might split an app.
this is
Gotta ask
bad,
my
bro.
wife. But yeah, Probably about a week. I'd say within probably like as soon as I get the blow up doll, I'll do it the next day. So it depends how fast they send that thing, man.
Before the next game. It has to be done before the
Yeah.
next game.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure. Okay, so we'll see how that all goes. I'm interested to see if this actually
Hopefully we don't have
happen
to.
or not. Yeah. So
Right,
and shout out.
exactly.
I believe the listener out there was our good friend Jeremy Bryant. I believe he is the one who initially put this idea out there. So, Colin, if you have to have a grudge with anybody, it's going to be him. So, all right, Willie, you were talking before we started this whole show. You want Colin and I? We're going to be in the house, and if for some reason this is not going great, you want us to fire everybody up. What is your suggestion for us to fire everyone up in Schumann Stadium Wednesday night if this thing starts to go sideways?
Yeah, so my idea was very gold. The fact that this is on ESPNU, it's a nationally televised game, and Colin and John, well, Colin really missed the last game when I went there. He kind of bailed on me. And then John has skipped two games that I went to, one of them being my Hall of Fame weekend. So my suggestion is that since these guys are both going to a nationally televised game at the Shoe, if at some point during the game, and I usually say like the end of the third quarter going into the fourth, if we're having troubles or issues, I think the Ball State of the Union needs to represent, and they need to let everybody know that they're in the house, and they need to get the team hype. And my suggestion is that they take off their shirts and they start going crazy and cheering the guys on, letting them know that Ball State of the Union is repping them. And they only know that these guys are Ball State of the Union because they got their shirt off, they're white dudes, and they love Ball State football, man. And they're gonna go crazy in the shoe and let everybody know. I just want to know if anybody is opposed to this idea because I think it would go viral. I really do. I've seen these moments on ESPN2 and ESPNU, the MACtion, baby. You know, it gets its juice. And I think if my two representatives, Colin and John, are at the game and we're at the point that we need some help from the fans, I believe our guys are the ones to step up and get it done. So I think it's a great idea. I think it would be a perfect way to kind of, even out my wounds because I was hurt last time. I didn't see you, Colin, or John at the last game, homecoming that we won, actually. You guys weren't there. So I think this would hype the team up and push us through the fourth quarter and get the dub that Colin needs, especially you, Colin. Like, you're in a very desperate position, right? So you need to do anything. Like, if we're down 10 going to the fourth, like, rip off the shirt, dog, because it's go time now, right? And I think you guys would
How
be awesome.
much?
I think you
How
guys
much
would
is
be
that going to motivate the team, though, Willie? Like,
Who
Dude, I'm
knows?
you
trying to
let
tell
us
you,
know,
they
like,
look back and they're like, we gotta make sure Colin doesn't get to that blow up doll, man. You can't even order that sucker, bro. Like, it's not even in the cart, fam. Like,
I know
we
that's
can't do it, bro. Can't do it too. So that was my idea. You know, it probably sounds crazy, but I really think it's gonna work, John. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think if the guys saw that and you guys are on TV going crazy, it's a win either way, right?
yeah.
You guys are gonna
I
go
mean,
viral.
Willie,
Go ahead.
I'd pour hot sauce on my eyeballs if it meant firing up the team and getting a dub. But like, I'll do whatever it takes. But like, I don't know if that'll do it.
Come on, dude.
But
Like, you got it in you, bro. You got it in you. Just have a couple,
okay.
what's the beers that what's his name?
Oh,
Scott.
the
Scott.
good boys or whatever.
Good boys. Yeah, have a
Yeah.
Oh,
couple good
okay.
boys
Mr.
before the
Simborski.
game. Yes, Mr. Simborski. Hook them up before the game. Get them the good boys so they're feeling real good. Come third quarter, baby. Let's do it, bro. Let's do it, man. What do we have to lose? It's
That's right.
MACtion.
Well, I got nothing to lose. Colin has a lot to lose, so he might need to make it. Yeah, I could see us, getting on either the berm or in the facility end zone and get Charlie
Yes.
Cardinal with us, see if he can get his shirt off too.
Dude,
Yeah, I
that's
like
gonna be
that. And yeah,
gold.
you talk about viral moments in these MACtion games. Before the NIU game, we had the I'm a Ginger guy, Kevin Owens. He came on. He was a viral
There you
MACtion
go.
guy. So it can happen. It can happen. You're right. So all things to consider. All things considered. We'll see. Hopefully
Let's
it's not a
see.
close game, but we'll
Yeah.
see. So
All right.
all right. Anyone out there, again, keep the comments coming, keep them flowing, throw them in here, and we'll read them all here in just a little bit. So 3 chirps, guys. Let's see. Willie, we'll start with you. Colin, I'll have you go last since it's your big week.
Okay.
Willie, we'll start with you.
All right. So my 3 chirps for this game, it's pretty simple, man. I pulled from past games, especially these home games, man. We got to continue to protect the shoe, right? I think number one for us to do that is to get back to running the football offensively. We got to establish the run early. We got to Our offense runs well when we're getting the run game going. Kyle Kelly plays in his zone and in his own realm when the run game is going. It makes everything easier. It opens up the windows bigger for him to throw to. So in order for Kyle Kelly and the offense to get into a rhythm, we got to establish the run game early. Um, my second chirp is really to be great on third downs on both sides of the ball.
Hmm.
Offensively, we struggled all year, really third down, and third down is the money down for us, and it keeps the defense off the field. It keeps drives extended, and then on defense, get these guys off the field, man. Let's make this game really hard on them, both offensively, defensively. When we get the ball, convert third down, stay on the field, and when we're on defense, three and outs, right? Be great on third down, man. Win the third down mark. We have a good chance of winning the game. And then lastly is to win the turnover battle. Both offensively, protect the ball, defensively, take the ball, and special teams create a turnover, man. I think we've been really solid the past couple of weeks on special teams, whether we're punting the ball, whether we're doing kickoff return, punt, forcing a muff, and recovering it. The last couple of weeks, special teams have been solid. And I think, if we win a turnover battle, we protect it, we take it away, and try to find a way to steal a possession on special teams, I think we'll be in a good place for Colin to kind of breathe easily as this game keeps going on. So those are my three chirps. I think they're solid. The key one is third downs. We got to be great on
Hmm.
third downs, and kind of establishing get that percentage up, man. Especially offensively, man. We got to stay on the field, extend drives, and keep that defense fresh on the sideline.
Yeah, that's a great point talking about those later downs, third and fourth down. Yeah, I remember we talked about that a lot after the Yukon game where it's like if we had just been able to get off the field a decent amount,
Yeah.
like that's a game that we can easily win, and that's something that they weren't able to do then. So that's a good point to bring back. All right, my three chirps. I'm like Willie. I'm going to go back to wellness, and I'm going to keep going to it until it happens. Oh, we need to score first. Still have not scored first at all this season, not once. We need to score first. If we can score first, we can play with the lead. Obviously, Ball State is a run first team, whether it be with running backs, whether it be with Kyle Kelly. They want to run the ball. They want to run the ball early and often. The best way to be able to do that is to play with the lead. So if you can score first, I think that sets up the game plan for how we won. And Mr. Agenda Pusher was on. He was talking that teams might be able to run the ball some against Kent State, especially quarterbacks if they're mobile. That plays right into our strengths. So let's use that to our advantage. Let's go down and let's score first. Again, I want to do it. I'm going to keep going to that well until we get it done. Number two, this is a very, very Jekyll and Hyde team, especially on offense for Ball State. Who you see at home is much different than who you see on the road. So I want to see that high-powered offense get back now that we're back at home. Again, on the road, there's no secret this year. Basically, outside the Yukon game, we haven't hardly scored any points at all. But at home, this is a pretty dynamic, explosive offense for whatever that reason is, still undetermined by all of us. So I want to see return to that high-powered offense that we missed last week against Northern Illinois. And lastly, my third chirp. It seems like one guy, when he becomes really that big time impact, big time game wrecker guy, things really obviously go really well for Ball State. We saw that in the Ohio game. We've seen that against Akron, New Hampshire, some of these games. I want to see 2 sacks. I want to see multiple sacks out of Nathan Vorez this week. I think when obviously this is like football 101. If you get to the quarterback, put pressure on him, that good things happen. Well, he can do that really well. And when he's able to do that, this defense and this team plays a lot better. So I want to see 2 sacks, multiple sacks out of Nathan Vorez. So score first. Let's get that high-powered offense back in a multi-sack game from Nathan Voorhees. Now, Colin, some people are calling this the biggest game of your life. What are the 3 chirps for it?
After last week, my first chirp has to be, we've got to stop the run. We've got to stop the run. After what we saw last week, that should be the most important thing we're drilling into our team's head. Because if I'm Kent State and I saw what I saw from Ball State last week, I'm running the ball. I know they're a heavy passing sort of team. Drew to Dimes, as the agenda pusher calls him. He can throw it around. He can get teams back in the game. But what has to happen first is we got to stop the run. Now, the second most important thing, if like we interviewed the agenda pusher and just looking at their film in general, is you got to protect against the special teams, either kickoff returns or punt returns with Darius Clark. He might be their most explosive weapon there. He's already got 2 returns for touchdowns. We just have to make sure we are prone to mistake on special teams every now and then. So we got to make sure we're ready on special teams. They are weak in the punt game, so hopefully we block a punt. My second chirp, I'll just say special teams has to be sharp. Third and final chirp, guys, we rely on Kyle Kelly so much. This might not even be like a fair chirp, but I think to win this game, QB1 has to have 3 touchdowns. Whether 2 of them are on the ground and 1's in the air, so be it. Or if it's 2 in the air and 1 on the ground, however he wants to get it, he can get it. But 3 touchdowns, he has to find a way to get that for us. And I think he will. I think we come out with the victory.
Okay. Well, we'll segue right into the game predictions in. So obviously you think we're coming out with victory. So again, the spread for this game, I believe, is Ball State -3.5. So again, whenever this bet was made by Colin, I'm sure the spread at that time would have been much higher than it is right now. So Ball State -3.5, and the over/under is 45.5. So Colin, you think Ball State's going to pull out a win here? Do they cover? Do they hit the over? What do you got them for? And what's the score?
I think 45.5 might be a little low. I'm expecting the winner to have to score at least 4 touchdowns and maybe like a field goal on top of it. I'm gonna go 31-27 Ball State. Ball State covers.
Yeah, that's a good point. Kent State's offense definitely, points output they've had here as the season's gone on definitely goes up. And Ball State is obviously offensively, specifically, a much, much different team at home than they are on the road. So, yeah, there could be some points. And again, these weekday games, they always get kind of crazy. So the points could be flying here. So, Willie, I'll ask you the same question. What's maybe your prediction, and maybe give us a score?
Yeah, I like that prediction. I think it's gonna be a high-powered offensive game on both sides of the ball for both teams, and I mean it's a mid-American conference game. It's midweek. Everybody's gonna be watching, right? So everybody wants to play their best. So I think it's gonna be a high-scoring game. I'm gonna go 27-21 Ball State. So I think there's gonna be a lot of points scored. I think we're gonna have to respond every drive. I think Kent State's gonna put up points, but I think in the end, we get that defensive stop we need, and we pull out the victory at home again.
Yeah, I'll go with the Ball State win as well. Again, from what I've seen this year, just how they play at home versus how they play on the road, and how they come off these losses in the MAC, like they seem to be like a team that can respond in this situation. So I got it Ball State 30, ball to Kent State's 24. So I'm gonna go 30-24. I think we'll see some points. I think Ball State might find themselves in a situation maybe in like the late third quarter, early fourth quarter, where they're up by like 14, and maybe Kent State chips away and kind of gets it back into it a little bit. But I'll go Ball State 30, Kent State 24, and hopefully me and Colin walk out of Schumann Stadium on Wednesday night with a win. So sweep.
You guys hate on me. You guys hate on me for, or you guys have been throwing me to the wolves for hating on Kent State. But I've got the game the closest out of anyone here.
Mm-hmm.
I've got it 31-27. So I'm actually showing a little bit more respect to Kent State than the other hosts here on the show. So I just want to remember that if, knock on wood, if we lose, I don't think we will, but if it's tight, remember Ball State Football Talk called it.
Show more respect than us, as you've joked on them for the last 6 months straight.
Nice,
hey, they had been terrible. I can't lie. This was the worst team in the MAC until UMass showed up. And now UMass kind of like took their spot. Like the invasion of the body snatchers. UMass became what Kent State was for the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm. True. Okay, before we get out of here, we'll have listener questions here in just 1 second. But as we've alluded to a handful of times here so far, Colin and I will be at the game on Wednesday. So we're going to be all around. We're going to be in Muncie for pretty much most of the day. We're going to be getting lunch. We're going to be kind of going around to some local places. We'll be out tailgating. If anyone sees us while we're there, be sure to say hey, and we'll talk some ball for a minute and maybe have a drink or whatever, and it'll be a good time. So, Colin, it's my first home game of the year. I went to the UConn game earlier, but you've been to a handful of home games. It's actually be our first time ever meeting in person, surprisingly, with everyone else.
Yeah.
So don't be a weirdo. Hopefully you're not a weirdo.
He's not a
Yes.
he's not a weirdo.
He's
He's
not
not
a
a weirdo. He's a
Um,
cool dude.
Colin, do you have anything else to add for our game day plans on Wednesday?
I'm super excited. We'll be in the village. We'll be on campus, at tailgating, maybe puertas, maybe not. Who knows? But we'll be around. So yeah, if you guys see us, just one of my favorite moments at the Western Michigan game when I went. I was walking down the stairs, and one of the parents just stopped me and like shook my hand. I was like, "Thanks for what you guys do," you know. And that's who we really do it for. We do it for fans. We do it for parents who really aren't getting a ton of attention from this administration. Like sometimes, like after away games, there's not really anything to watch, or before this Kent State game, there hasn't been a press conference to talk about the game. So I'm just glad we're here to fill that role for the fans, for parents, for players, whoever wants to see somebody talk about the game respectfully, but also honestly. That's where your avenue for there, and we're going to continue to do it.
Well said. All right, listener questions, and then we'll wrap everything up. So, over on Twitter, our friend Shay, good friend of the show, see you boys at the game on Wednesday. First beer's on him, so there we go. There
Nice.
takes
Love
care
it.
of that. The first beer is on Shay. Although I have a sneaking suspicion by the time I see Shay, I'll have already had a few beers. So, it'll be the first beer that we've seen you with. So, shout out Shay as always, and he was one who wanted us to start the Mac Network. So, I'll ask you guys this question: if we did start a Mac Network, where would it be? Would it be on ESPN? Would it be a channel on ESPN? Would it be on HBO Max? Would it be, where would we watch the Mac Network? Where, if you had to pick a spot, where would the Mac Network be?
Probably CBS
CBS.
Network. I
Okay.
can see that.
Colin, what do you think?
Willie must not remember, but I hate when our games are on CBS Sports Network. They really, really got to me last time. But I'll go curveball here, and I think we're not really super fratish, but I'd love if like Barstool had like a Mac, like a just group of podcasts in the Mac, and like maybe we were one of them. That would be cool. I think we have like good chemistry, and like with the right setup and like funding, like Barstool actually has. I think we'd be incredible. So that would be my pitch, would to have like a Mac network on Barstool, maybe Steven Vitz on there every now and then. He'd be a character. It's Kent State agenda pusher. He's definitely would be like our Frank, so we got a good amount of characters. I think we could do it. It'd be a fun show.
Yeah, they've dabbled in live sports before. I know they had the Arizona Bowl the year after we won it, and they did it all on their website and all their social channels where they broadcast the actual game. So you didn't turn on ESPN, you didn't turn on CBS, you went to Barstool if you wanted to watch the Arizona Bowl that year. So they have done stuff like that before. Our friend Allie over on YouTube, what's your favorite MACtion memory for each of you? So Willie, you have the most probably experience in this field. I'll start with you. What is your favorite MACtion memory?
Personally, we played Toledo on a Tuesday night, and they were ranked, and we were having a pretty good year. I think I was the 20. Help me out, John. Was it 2012 or 2013 when we knocked off Toledo? I think it was 2012.
I believe it's
when we knocked
2012.
them off.
Because Travis was talking about last week. He was on the team.
That's right. Yep. It was 2012. We knocked off Toledo after they won a huge game the week before. They were ranked. They had a lot of momentum going to their home game, right? So that was probably my favorite, was just knocking off the Toledo Rockets when they were hot. We cooled their jets. That Tuesday night, it was freezing. It was like negative. It was like -5. It was that cold, and my mom was at the game too. She flew all the way in from Florida, sat in the cold in the bleachers, and watched us take down the Toledo Rockets. So that was a pretty fun day, Tuesday night MACtion that I remember.
All right, Colin, what about you?
This isn't necessarily my favorite MACtion memory, but the one that sticks out to me the most, and I hate to be a Debbie Downer, is we've got our midweek MACtion game. I want to say last year, it was against Buffalo, and we lose, and no post-game press conference, and they fire our coach. So we never heard from Mike New after midweek MACtion.
Never heard from him again.
Never heard from him again. That was it. He walked into midweek MACtion, and we came out coachless.
Never came out. Yeah, Willie, in terms of the games that I remember in terms of like big wins, I would definitely agree with you on that Toledo one, because I believe Toledo was ranked Like it was a big win for us. For a personal one, so I'll give a different one, so I won't take the same one. I don't remember exactly. I believe this was 2013, Willie. We played Central Michigan at home for a MACtion game. And the things I remember about it is they gave out shirts, which is like the first time I ever believe they've given out shirts at a football game. It felt like they said beat the chips on it. So me and my friends kept covering up the B to say eat the chips since it was Central Michigan. And then we were leaving my house to walk to the game. We walked probably 45 minutes to get to the game. We were up on University.
Yeah.
And my friend had maybe had a couple beverages, too many so far. Shout out Suds, Colin, I know you know Suds.
Oh, yeah, legend.
And he fell in a bush on the way there. So Suds fell in a bush on the way to midweek MACtion. And he did make it out, but he didn't make it long. So the Central Michigan game where they gave out the shirts, there's free hot dogs, too. And my friend fell in the bush. Or the Toledo game.
Central Michigan, 44-24 win, November 6th on a Wednesday.
Yep, there you go.
Okay.
And it rained a bunch. I remember it rained a bunch, too. So that was 2013, right? You were on that team then?
Yeah. That was. That was a good game.
Yeah. All right. Our friend over on YouTube, he said, "Man, a Kent State fan not know about Dree Archer." Well, he did. He knew about him. I think he was just not there at the same time as him. But he said, "Willie, what do you remember about that classic at Kent in 2012?" And before you jump in, this is a very random memory that I have from that Kent State game, because Kent State was a very good team in 2012. They had the guy who went on to coach at Purdue. Was it Darrell Hazel?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Dree Archer was on the team then. And I remember watching this in my room, and it was a 12 o'clock game. Like it was for whatever reason, it was a crazy shootout, like this guy's saying. So Willie, what do you remember about that game?
I just remember, I think that was Dree Archer's big blow up game. I think he had over 200 yards all purpose. He took a kickoff return to the house and he was moving. And I think everybody's who is that kid, right? And we just kept going back and forth because our offense was so explosive that year. And I think Kent State just caught us off guard, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we knew in the game, coming into the game, that we were going to have a good offensive game, but we had no idea offensively Kent State was that explosive, because they were going at our defense and we were like, wow, like before you knew it was 21-28 and we're trying to catch these guys. And I think that was the biggest, for me, that was my first 200-yard game. I had caught a touchdown late in the third quarter to kind of get us back into the game, because for a while they were up 2 touchdowns. And, that was just a really explosive game. But I think that was the game Dree Archer was put nationally up there, because, man, when you have over 200 all-purpose yards and one of those is a kickoff return, and I swear to God, that guy was moving so fast. I just knew after that game that guy was going to be a problem. He was going to be an NFL talent just of how fast he was moving. But yeah, that game was one to remember. Just how going back and forth. It was one of those shootouts. I think it was the end of the game was 42-40 or 42-38, something like that. It was a crazy game, and yeah, we ended up losing. That one hurt because we were working so hard to come back and we thought we were going to win. And I think it came down to a last-minute field goal, and we ended up losing, man. That was a heartbreak because I think we had just beat South Florida too that year. So,
yeah, well, I remember the obviously in that time frame, those 2 years, there was not a lot of losing going on. It was 9-3 and 10-2 seasons. So
yeah,
I remember that game a lot, and I remember the North Texas game. Those are the 2 games that stand out as random losses that happened throughout the if you had to pick out maybe games that you feel like you should have won. It seems like those were the 2 kind of random ones throughout that 2-year span. So
absolutely.
Can't State agenda pusher. He was still watching. He said, "Hey, I know about Dree Archer, but he was 10 when he tore the MAC." So there we go. There's our response on the Kent State, on the Dree Archer gate here potentially.
He was quick. He was quick to respond to that.
Hate. That's right. He was in there. So. And then lastly, our friend Shay said, "Penny pitchers at the Chug on Wednesday, correct?" I don't know when they do it anymore, but yeah, maybe depends on how this game goes. Maybe I'll swing over there. What do you think, Colin? If we get a nice win here, maybe we go by for one pitcher.
I can do a pitcher. I can do a pitcher.
Okay. All right. Well, that wraps up our listener comments and questions. Again, we appreciate everyone listening along. Before we get out of here, I'll kick it to you first, Willie. Any last comments about this game, about the last game, about what you got going on? Anything for the fans out there? Any last comments from Willie Sneed?
No, man, I appreciate all the listeners. It's a late Sunday night, but we always appreciate you guys tapping in, Make sure you like, subscribe, share, man. We're just growing. We love Ball State football. Wish you good luck to the team, man. Get back on track, protect the shoe, right? All that good stuff. Let's get back on track, man. Always protect the shoe.
All right, Colin, the floor is yours. Anything else you want to say before this potential whatever is going to happen on Wednesday?
If any players hear my plea, please beat Kent State, because I don't want to go on a date with a blow up doll. I don't even want to have to buy it. I do believe this team should win this game. We just got to go in there and handle business. And honestly, they got to respect the opponent. As much as I'm messing around, but I'm just excited to watch the game and be there. If anybody sees us, please say hi. We're super friendly. We'll have stickers. But yeah, that's really all I got. Make sure to subscribe. We appreciate you guys.
Perfect. Well said by both of you. All right, everyone. That's a good one. I'm excited to be there. Again, I haven't been to a game at Schumann Stadium in a few years, so I'm pretty excited to get back up there. So I'm flying up in the morning. Got an early flight tomorrow morning. I'll be at the Pacer game tomorrow night. Pacers Bucks, big game for the Pacer fans out there. So with that is going to do it for this edition of Ball State of the Union. Again, thanks to our guest, the Kent State Agenda Pusher, for coming on and getting us well-versed in all things Kent State football and get us ready for this matchup under these lights on Wednesday night for MACtion. So Colin and I, again, will be at Schumann Stadium. If you see us there, be sure to stop by, say hey. We love talking to the fans and the people that watch the show every week. So, again, like, comment, subscribe wherever you're watching this show out right now. We really appreciate it. It really gets the show out there more and helps us grow. And until then, until Wednesday when Ball State's on the national spotlight, we'll talk again soon. So everyone out there, chirp, chirp, and go Cardinals.